What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, we are doing a game from the America's Shurima Cup. This is the first TPC Tier 1 TFT tournament of the set, and it was a crazy day, especially on this new patch that just came out a few days ago. A lot of players really having to adjust and turn on a dime and learn this new patch really quickly, but a lot of people have been able to learn it quickly, have been able to very quickly understand what the meta is. And the top three of those, I would say, after watching this day of games and all tied for 38 points, are Maikel, JD Zielinski, and Paki Gam here, and then Precedent here, making up this kind of like top four that has a decent gap between the rest here. Let's do a VOD review of Maikel, because, I mean, this guy's a beast. He did fantastically well. Last set, winning the first TPC. Imagine if he goes back-to-back winning the first TPC, because he's in a great spot here to make final lobby with 38 points on the day. And he did really showcase fantastically well how to play this patch when you were given the opportunity to, because I will say, as we get into this game, that there are a few things that you should really be on the lookout for when you are playing this patch. You can see he actually doesn't really respect the Kog'Maw that much. Just not that interested in playing towards that here. And we have an okay, almost Ionia opener here. We have the Shen, we have the two Jins here, and kind of have, some pieces of stuff. We do pick up a Scion here, which is actually the first unit that I want to talk about here. I don't think he's not relevant to this game, but Scion allows you to unlock LeBlanc, and because this Noxus line, the mid game for it is a lot stronger, because AP is now a playable line. This is one of the units where if you get this out of a box, you really want to put this on your board and field him so that you can unlock LeBlanc. But there's another unit that's actually like way more important that we will talk for here. Axioma del Fuego, Preparacion, and Enaracha here on a roll, is seen by many to be one of the most broken augments in the entire game, which is why when we see this bow augment here, it's so surprising that Maikel says, I'd actually rather pick up this bow augment. It was pretty surprising to me, but I think his thought process, one, is that, I mean, we can play a fantastically strong Guinsoo Gargoyle Slam here and just have an amazing board here. It's really nice onto the Jhin right now, and it gives us the opportunity to really stack up this bow augment. And I mean, to be fair, a silver augment giving you 3 bows, and obviously the next 2 are really delayed. But once you get to that double cash out of bows, usually later in stage 4, I mean, you're feeling fantastic here, and just the tempo that this gives you. I mean, this is a fight that it's really close. Oh my God, Kog'Maw 10 HP. Yeah, it's an insanely close fight. But here is the second piece of the game, where the game really starts to take off, is we find one TF and it's a pivot. The second we see a single TF, we know that we are pivoting into Bilgewater. Now, why? Why are we doing this? Bilgewater actually received some pretty considerable nerfs this patch, so some people were wondering, will Bilge be as good as it once was? And the answer is yes. It's actually even better than it was last patch. So if you guys, played a lot of Bilgewater last patch, enjoyed it, or got tired of, being beaten by Bilgewater, well, I'm sorry to the people who are getting tired of being beaten by it, because, like I said, the comp is only stronger on this patch, to the point where if you get a TF, you should play Bilge. Last patch, it was more like spot dependent. What items do you have? What upgrades do you have? This patch, it is just straight up, if you see a TF, you should play Bilge under almost all circumstances. And part of it is because they took some power out of Graves, added a lot of power into TF. And so last patch, you never really wanted to itemize this Twisted Fate unit. You never really wanted to play for stuff like Twisted Fate 3-star. I know that myself because I played a Twisted Fate 3-star game in the Tactician's Trials, and it did not go well for me. But nowadays, this is actually the preferable version of the comp, is playing around Twisted Fate, using him to really stabilize you, and then also to cap out the board as you eventually, push levels, find Twisted Fate 3-star. I mean, it's so easy. You can do the exact same thing you did with Graves last patch, if you guys remember what that was like, where you really just tempo 3-star, right? You don't even have to like roll it down on level 6 or anything for a TF3. You can just find them in the Bilgewater shop as you pick up these Silver Serpents, and just pick up the TF3 essentially for free. You can still pick up stuff like Captain's Brew. Captain's Brew, I think now is fine. It's not in like every take you need it, but if you are going to be playing towards TF3, it is still an amazing item onto him. So oftentimes you will be picking up the Captain's Brew, but you can see here, this was a TF1. He dealt 3,000 damage, and now we have TF2, which is almost guaranteed when you are playing Bilge, just because you're gonna see TFs in your shop. And I mean, we're off to the races. Our board's fantastic here. We're playing the Quick Striker and the Bruiser, the two most important traits to play on this board. You're basically always playing a Bruiser on 4, just because you need more frontline with this board. You always want to play the Graves plus the TF plus the Alawi plus a Bruiser, almost always. And then the Quick Striker is a nice +1 on this board. Obviously, we're carrying the TF. So we can also talk TF items here. We made a Guinsoo's Rage Blade before we had the TF, but it's actually a very, very nice item onto TF because he does have this weird kind of cadence where his casts are gated by his auto attack. So the more you auto attack, the more you cast with him. Mana items are obviously, not really good on him because of this weird thing where he just autos and then casts. And so Guinsoo's Rage Blade is an obvious good fit here. Maikel is going to go for the JG here, which is if you leave this item onto your TF, you are making a huge mistake. It's a quite bad item on TF, but it is a really good item on TF right now. It's a good slam onto TF. That's just going to make my board a little bit stronger. And then late game, we're going to move that item over to Fizz. That's the other really interesting thing about, post this patch is people have realized that, I mean, you can really play around this Fizz unit as a duo carry. Fizz actually did not receive any buffs this patch, but he received some pretty big indirect buffs in that Diana and Tryndamere got huge nerfs to the point where these units don't exist anymore. And those were the biggest units that, Fizz had trouble dealing with before. Now, you can actually, just have Fizz delete backline, not have to worry about these huge melee carries. I do think a Pyromania is just fantastic here. It is it's just a great item for TF. Getting heal cut onto TF is so amazing because he's basically hitting the entire board with his cast very frequently. We opt to buy actually a little bit of HP here. I think this is just to stabilize the board a little bit. We would love to buy more items on 5 Bilge, try to find that Captain's Brew, which, like we said, it's fine these days. You don't have to go chasing it, ruin your entire life to find a Captain's Brew like you did last patch, where it was just we must have a Captain's Brew, but it's still really good. TF is still applying chill onto the backline with it, which is just kind of a crazy effect. Normally you have to do a lot to get chill applied to backline. You have to, play something like a Rise to, apply chill to backline. But yeah, pick up another win here. We're going to pick up the Alawi 2 here just to make our board stronger and then start looking at the level 7. Once again, this is not a, roll down on 6 find TF3 idea. This is a use the Bilgewater shops, find TF3, and then push levels to spike us, get more tiers of Bilgewater in, the 7 builds, or even the 5 builds we haven't even reached at this point. Rotate into a pretty beefy Rek'Sai board here. Is this going to be our first loss in a while here? No, actually, TF is just that broken. 7,000 damage. Yeah, this guy, he's just a monster. The other thing is they meant to nerf Bilge by making the build shops, the TF and the Graves cost go from 30 to 35. But as far as I know, that change just didn't go through. They just accidentally did not push that change. So Bilge received kind of a stealth little buff in that the nerf that they wanted for it just did not occur. Pick up Glove here onto the GP. I mean, one, this is GP pair, which is pretty chill. And the other kind of nice thing about this pickup is that it's going to be Glove for the Fizz later. BIS Fizz is JG plus Hodge, and we have the the JG here, and so we are just waiting for that other half of it. So yeah, I mean, if you guys see your games, there's probably going to be a lot of Bilge in the games. The funny thing is, contesting this comp does feel bad, especially, trying to hit things like the Misfortune later. But you can kind of play this comp contested and not feel that bad because there are so many different variations of it, right? You can play for TF3, you can play for Graves 3, you can play and push levels and play for AMF primary carry, you can play for, Fizz as a primary carry. There's essentially 3 different, I mean, you can even, I want to do kind of a GP reroll VOD review potentially for tomorrow because Wei Jin played a cool game on that today. But I mean, that's another unit that you can play for, though usually that's not exactly in the context of Bilge. Once again, here you can see just TF, the leading backline doing insane damage. I mean, this build is fantastic. Another item that you can go for on Twisted Fate is Void Staff, just because it gives you the ability to MR shred, the entire board, which is really nice when you're duo carrying stuff like Fizz. We do pick up the Captain's Brew here, which is huge, and now the JG is just going to move up to the Fizz. So like we talked about, this is just how you're meant to play. And we do also have a Fizz in our build shop that might be a quick Fizz too. Ooh, that is a ton of gold here, which, yep, that's going to be the Hodge Slam that we talked about here. We sadly unlocked Poppy, and we are going to roll here, try to dig for a real MF here, which we do end up actually finding, which is going to give us the, well, it's kind of funny. We just made, I mean, yeah, we can just do this here, play this as our +1 here, have the Wukong too. Yeah, the spot is amazing. My God here. And he's considering, wow, he's actually going to reforge belt here and ends up getting double sword here. So he just is forced to make DB. Was just saying, I don't really care that much for tank item here. I'd like to make like a Fizz item here, but doesn't end up getting anything too crazy. But the DB, a solid item onto MF. And the 7 bilge early. This is another thing that's really important for this comp, is this kind of aggressive leveling and rolling to try to find that MF, 1, before any other bilge contester finds it, and 2, so that you can get 7 bilge in as quickly as possible. It's a big jump in the amount of Silver Serpents that you're farming from 5 to 7, and especially from 3 to 7. So the faster you can get this in, the better. Last dog here. I mean, I wouldn't mind a salvage bin here. I don't think it's either of these. The dupes is interesting. Yeah, we are going to grab the dupes here. And ooh, check this out from Maikel here. Really, really nice stuff. He's going to toggle down to the 3 bilge here to try to find more of these Twisted Fates plus bilge dupes, right? At 3, that is your best odds of finding Twisted Fate plus bilge duplicator here. So we toggle down and boom, there's a bilge dupe. We actually roll a little bit on 8 here and immediately find another Twisted Fate, which by the time we get this next bilge dupe, that will be TF3 with 4 dupes here, which is just kind of crazy. Yeah, I actually love this dupe augment take here. Is going to allow us to really quickly hit TF3. The only downside is, like, we technically, in my head, we have an extra bilge dupe left over. Eventually you could because you get 2 max bilge dupes per game, so you could still get that later, but he's just saying, nah, I mean, we're gonna play for 7 bilge here. Pick up the pile of citrus in our build shop. Really nice the way he did this, by the way. Buy out stats here so that we can see extra shop slots, and he was going to reroll there, but we see pile of citrus. It's a fantastic pickup here, and we just grab it. Also, the red buff slam gonna come down for the double red buff. It's kind of funny. He ended up making this red buff, the first one he got from Pyromania, and so now he's kind of like, well, I mean, what's Bobo gonna be other than red buff? It is also, you do get extra burn damage, so it's like there's a little bit of upside to it. It's not amazing. I don't think he's like excited to build double red buff here, but an item's an item here, and it, once again, like, what are we gonna do with double bow except for make red buff here? And it's attack speed to scale up the AD from the Deathblade, so it's not even really that bad of a slam. All right, pile of citrus gonna come down here, which is so big that we can pick this up already. We can just throw this onto Not for now, and eventually, oh, he's actually, yeah, actually, this makes sense. He prefers the Alawi to the Nautilus here. And we are gonna put Fizz on the edge here. This is another thing to talk about. So Fizz has kind of weird targeting. He says he jumps to the furthest unit within 4 hexes, same targeting that Diana has. Not actually really true. I've kind of theorized that he actually has a 3.5 hex range, and I do think he also prioritizes going to backline instead of frontline. Like, if there's a frontliner and a backliner that are equidistant 4 hex away, oftentimes she'll go to the frontline or she'll 50-50 it. Fizz seems like he always goes backline, and because of this, you can put Fizz in this hex here that we have him in, just the corner hex here, either A1 or A7 is what people call it if you want to like name the hexes based on numbers. And so you basically always want him on the edge here because this is the highest odds for him to go backline. He can still go backline in other certain situations, depending on what units end up doing when they walk up. But I will just say you can default Fizz on the edge and feel very, very good about it. You just need to make sure you have a tank next to him, because as long as there's a tank next to him, the tank will receive aggro. Speaking of Fizz, there's Fizz 2, which is huge here. We can keep feeding this Thomas Kench. He is actually feeding him some AP here. I think most people like to feed him enough HP so that he's like tanky enough to survive, and then you start feeding him AP. But in a pinch, you'll certainly feed feed him some AP. I do see Protector's Vow here, which is quite exciting. I see Protector's Vow Hodge as well. I mean, this looks fantastic. We have the cloak left open, which is kind of awkward, but Vow is the best item in the game onto Thomas Kench here. And another Hodge. I mean, this is basically Biss Fizz. You really just want him to be killing people really quickly. You don't really oftentimes want to play for like a Gwinsu's or any kind of like scaling items on Fizz. He casts quickly enough as is. You really want him to do just exactly what he did there. Jump to backline and get a kill, especially with the TF backing him up with stuff like the red buff, stuff like the Captain's Brew. It is really, really easy for these guys to kind of double team a backline and just, I mean, kill people for free. Do pick up another item here. This is, you know, how you cap out the comp is picking up items, and then we will see how he wants to cap out the board units wise here. I did actually Disco TFT sent me a really, really cool board in this comp where you actually play for Ziggs as your max cap because the Ziggs unit is so broken these days. So you can certainly do that and unlock Ziggs. It plays Tom Kench, Ziggs, Senolution, and Ornn as well, and Shyvana. So you basically play those units, and then you are playing Bilgewater as well here. And he does end up unlocking the Ziggs just with the items onto the Fizz here. It doesn't look like he wants to play for that variant, though. He's going to play this for a while. So yeah, it's I mean, there's a lot of versions of this comp, I will say. Maybe we'll do a VOD of somebody of the Ziggs version later, but for now, we're happy on this board. We have the Twisted Fate 3. He's an absolute monster. I think, and now that I'm thinking about it, is the board that I'm talking about from Disco a TF exclusionary board? I think it might be. I think on that board you play MF not, Alawi, TK, and +1. It's Fizz usually. So yeah, that's a board for when you don't hit Twisted Fate 3, which is, I mean, it's cool to see, right? There's so many different versions of the board. We have TF3 on the board, so it makes sense for us to play on Kindred. Obviously, we want a quick striker, and Kindred got a pretty beefy nerf this patch, but still, I mean, you got to play a quick striker, and this is the best one that you can play, so makes sense. Pick up another TK here. Also finding a lot of Shivs here, which I feel like, yeah, has to just come in onto the board at this point. Shiv 2 just so good. Really just for her passive, the basically like DR on your entire board after she casts is huge. And she's just not a bad like little kind of random damage dealer. Throw a random like TG onto her and she'll do a lot of work. At this point, really just hoping to cap out with the TK2, and then I think this is really what we're looking at as far as the board here. The extra bruiser in the two-star Wukong is really, really nice here. The Lucian Senna obviously comes in over the Graves, and I mean, yeah, I think this is just gonna be our board, and then we're just hoping to find TK2 in this spot. Rolling, actually toggling down here, yep, to 3, because we've talked about this before. You want to buy the stats at the cheapest price point, which is whatever price point you have not bought stats at. They get more expensive within the price point. So say you buy HP on 3 Bilge, it gets a little bit more expensive to buy HP on 3 Bilge again. So because we bought most of our stats at this point on 5 and 7 Bilge, we are toggling it down to 3 Bilge to buy those cheaper stats. So that's the idea. It's a little bit, annoying to do, but it's a little fun as well. This is, I feel like, the hardest comp in the game to play APM-wise. There's just so much stuff to do. Really, you should make sure that you have on your hotkeys an ability to bench / field a unit. I put that on my Z key if you guys are looking for suggestions, I guess. But something to consider. Very, very important here. Also, I didn't even realize this guy is playing an Ahri Ishtal kind of reroll game. I mean, they found Ahri 3, and then none of the other Ishtal units 3-star, but they played enough Ishtal to reach a Brock. That's a crazy board here. Who is this? Is this Quintanilla? No, Quintanilla just died. Is this Pocky? I watched Pocky's POV. I never saw a game like this. So, I mean, maybe it was a game that he played off stream. It does look like it's Pocky. I mean, Pockygom is the king of doing super woke stuff like this, and this is a comp that technically exists, is Ishtal, Ahri, a reroll. There's a lot of synergy built in there with Ionia and Ishtal. Obviously, you have an Arcanist in both. You have a Defender in both. So it's pretty easy to play. And ooh, looks like this might not actually be a first. Looks like we might actually get capped out by. I mean, Ishtal is one of the highest cap comps in the game here. Going to continue to roll down. Do pick up the Lucian Senna or the the Kindred 2 here. I'm going to pick up some more stats here. I mean, the nice thing is we can keep feeding the fish, keep getting stronger. Whoa, what is this? He's moving items here and saying these items are actually going to be better onto Shiv here. That's crazy to me. I don't know if I agree with this, but maybe he's just saying, I got to try something. I got to, hope that maybe this is stronger, though I don't really think it is. This is a close fight. I mean, wait. Oh my God. I think Maikel might be a beast. I cannot believe. Wow, swap the items over to Shiv, and I don't know if that was the diff. I mean, it actually might have been. All right, this guy might just be an absolute beast. I thought there was no chance he was going to win this game, but he actually clutches it out with that crazy swap at the end. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Twitch and Medify. All my links down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, as always.